Okay, buddy. The Nashville number system. 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, the 6 chord, and last but not least, the 7 chord. Then you get back to the 1 chord, which is an 8 chord, I guess. So basically, each of those numbers represents the chord in relation to the key center. So that exercise that I sent you earlier, where I said, hey, try this exercise to get and the whole point of this exercise is to start to wrap your head around that numbering system. And really what the numbering system is there to help you do is to figure out how most like major harmony gets written in music. And it's a quick and easy way to like communicate that information without, it's kind of like a shorthand, if you will, but it's useful. And it's kind of like you probably know this, you just don't know you just don't know it yet. So that exercise I showed you was play F major on the E string, right? And I said try just playing like power chords at first, right? So F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. If I play just the roots, you get that major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that's 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 is back to the octave there. So that's the 1. That's the root of the 1 chord for F. If you say, play me the 1 chord in the key of F major, the 1 chord is F itself. If somebody said, play me the 2 chord, it would be the chord from that key whose root starts on the G, right? Somebody said, play me the 3 chord, well, it'd be the third, it'd be the chord you would build from the 3rd interval of that major scale, and then the 4th, and then the 5th. So I just memorized these a long time ago, and I think it's not hard to memorize. You're talking about 7 chords, and it basically goes like this. You got a major, you got a minor, right? So a 2 chord is minor, and it's always in relation to its 1 chord, which is major. Minor. The 3 chord, which is off the 5th here, is also minor. Your 4 chord is major. Your 5 chord is major. Your 6 chord is minor. Your 7 chord is a version of a minor. It's a diminished, but you can get away with a minor. And then back to the 8. They don't call it an 8 chord, they always call it a 1 chord, but it's the major. And all of those chords together in their relationship to one another is what makes it, a 1 chord. So your blues, like I was showing you the other day, the blues is a 1, 4, 5 progression. So if somebody says, play me blues in F, well, blues in F would be the 1 chord to the 4 chord, back to the 1 chord, to the 5 chord. you know, that's what the progression would be. If here's another classic chord progression. You hear this in jazz a lot. It's like a 1-6-2-5 chord. So in that case, you'd have, let's say, a 1-6-2-5 progression in the key of F would be 1, and then you go to the 6, which would be the D minor, and then you'd go to the 2 chord, which is a G minor, and then you'd go to the 5 chord, which is a C major. You've heard this a million times, I'm sure. I'd play it like this. So that's a 1-6-2-5 progression. So when you know what each of those, what a 1 chord is, if you always remember, there's 3 majors. There's the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord are major. All the rest of them are minor, but they're all related to each other in the distance of those major scale intervals, which is what I was telling you about the other day. This this whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So that's how you know. So it doesn't matter if I say, play 1-4-5 in D. Well, I know 1-4-5 in D would be, would be D major, G major, A major. If I say play 1-4-5 in E, well, it would be E. So those are all major chords. So what that numbering system lets you do is know. It basically lets you spell out really quickly the chord progression, the harmony, and you'll see like there's a lot of repeating, like in pop music you hear, lots of different progressions that come up a lot. Like a lot of modern progressions I notice nowadays, they'll like move around in like thirds, for example. So that you'll see, I see a lot of like 1 chord, 6 chord, 4 chord, 2 chord. And so what is that like? Well, if I pick the key of F, 1 chord would be F major, and then the 6 would be a D minor. The 4 chord would be, I'm just going to play the B flat here. Like you hear like Ed Sheeran and all these fucking clowns doing a lot of those kinds of progressions. But that's basically a 1-6-4-2 progression. And the combinations are, like however you make, because it's all borrowing chords from the same key. They all work together. And they call that like a diatonic, it's a diatonic relationship. Because basically all of those chords they all use notes, and they're all related to each other by the key, which is defined by that F major. So that's important, and I don't know. I don't think it's that complicated. It's something everybody should learn, because you're going to hear people say, "Oh, just play me a 1-4-5 or play me a 2-5-1 progression." Here's a jazz, like 2-5-1 is in jazz all the time. If we were saying if F is the key and somebody says we're playing 2-5-1, well, I know that that's G minor to the 5, which is to the C major to the F major. course, in jazz, they would play it more like, you know, with seventh chords. So you'd have something more like, you know, they tend to like not just do regular major chords, but they'll typically express it in seventh, you know, 7 chords instead of just your basic major minor chords. Anyways, I hope that helps, and it has everything to do with those, you know, if you know your major scale, you can basically pull all this stuff apart. But, you know, quickly learning, you know, that, like, what flavor of chord each of those, you know, what the 1 chord is always major, 2 is always minor, 3 is always minor, 4 is always major, 5 is always major, 6 is always minor, 7 is actually a diminished chord, but you can get away with a minor just to keep things simple, and then you're back to the major again. You can start experimenting with like hundreds of different combinations, and they're going to sound like you're composing chord progressions in a certain key. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that.